Over the past decades, hundreds of millions of people have moved to cities in hope of a better future. Yet, each day, 100,000 of these new city dwellers end up living in urban slums, often in precarious conditions. Today, 1.3 billion people live in such conditions. This makes urban slums the fastest growing mission field on Earth. Having seen the enormity of this challenge, we at Urban Mosaic simply could no longer look the other way. We were deeply touched by how domestic violence, poverty, systemic injustice, and spiritual emptiness cripple the God-given potential of hundreds of millions of families living in slums around the world. And it forced us to wonder, how do we respond to this daunting challenge? What would God's response look like? Can cities really change? And is our faith big enough to seek real solutions? And if yes, then how? A compelling question we've seen many wonderful people, ministries, and organizations ask when they see a need is, what can we do to address this need? That's certainly a good place to start. Yet, the more we immersed ourselves in the reality of urban slums, listening to the people there, the more it became clear to us that urban poverty cannot be defined by one root cause. People living in urban slums often are in dire need of clean water, energy, jobs, sanitation, and healthcare services, all that at the same time. With few opportunities available to improve their lives, hopelessness then sets in and leads them to resign themselves to a life of survival. The idea of actually seeing change in such a landscape feels impossible and forces us to reckon with our smallness. This is why we knew we had to stop asking ourselves, what can we do? And start asking ourselves, what will it really take to see an entire urban poor community, and not just individuals, fully transformed? So we started studying tangible, life-changing, transformational interventions in urban poor communities around the globe. Emerging from these conversations came a theory of change defined by 5 core beliefs, a change model that over time could be reproduced and scaled to impact millions of urban slum dwellers. Urban poverty is as much a lack of material resources as it is a lack of access to power, or a lack of opportunities, or a lack of freedom to dream. Because urban poverty is a multidimensional problem, we knew that only a holistic, locally led approach would bring about long-lasting change. Consequently, in every slum community we work in, we first take time to listen to what the people say about their specific needs and dreams. And then we offer to walk alongside them to pursue tangible change in their community. This kind of development includes creating environments for life-enhancing education where children, youth, and adults have access to learning that empowers them. For example, children start participating in our kids' clubs, learning about their rights. Youth reject destructive behaviors and adopt positive life skills as they participate in our leadership schools. Others acquire vocational skills or learn how to read and to write. We also foster healthy habitats for all by renovating dilapidated public spaces, working to minimize harmful environmental conditions, improving housing, providing access to health care, and reducing preventable diseases and health-related costs for families who are involved in our community health initiative. It's amazing to watch how a once trash-filled, abandoned lot, known for dark dealings, can be transformed into an open, healthy space enjoyed by the whole community. We furthermore focus on economic development by cultivating the presence of wealth-creating opportunities for our urban poor neighbors so that they might achieve economic sufficiency. This looks like providing access to vocational training or helping individuals and families launch small businesses. The significance of having financial hope through the honest work of one's own hands lifts the entire family and community. Our focus is on developing people rather than simply providing quick fixes through outside material solutions. Hopelessness permeates urban poor communities. Many people exist within a web of lies that keeps them trapped in an ongoing cycle of indignity. We address this hopelessness by planting and revitalizing faith communities that transform neighborhoods, rewriting the societal narrative of hopelessness to become one of hope instead. Changing the way the urban poor see the world and themselves is crucial to overcoming poverty. We believe that spiritual transformation in Jesus Christ lifts their negative view of self to the view He holds of them, one of a human created in the image of God, one for whom He died. This perspective not only heals the way they see themselves, but also casts the entire world around them in God's light. Nestled within the body of faith communities that foster holistic change in people, individuals experience mental and spiritual freedom that allow them to cultivate their God-gifted life. For the first time, individuals and families are reignited with sparks of hope, expecting goodness for their own lives, for their neighborhoods, and even for the world. Through worship gatherings, Bible studies, prayer meetings, and churches joining together to seek out the peace and justice in their communities, despair gives way to real hope. We also work to help poor communities grow in emotional health so they can experience deepening mental freedom and overcome destructive patterns. We pursue this through guided self-help groups that use psychosocial education and the arts to offer traumatized individuals a safe space to express what is sometimes not possible to express through words and find healing as a result. In doing so, we train some of the participants to become leaders themselves, allowing new self-help groups to pop up throughout the area. The result? As faith communities grow stronger and people experience healing, hope becomes the energy that fuels transformation as it spreads from neighborhood to neighborhood. Urban poverty is in essence a breakdown of relationships. While the poor know about the non-poor and the non-poor know about the poor, they often don't know each other. The same is also true among the poor themselves. Now add to that the breakdown of communication between different city agencies and institutions and fear of violence, and you have a recipe for entrenched generational poverty. Given this deep-seated disconnect between individuals, families, communities, and institutions, we invite God to use us as ambassadors of reconciliation to restore broken relationships at all levels. Within the family, within neighborhoods, between institutions, and within the grander spectrum of society, especially between the poor and the non-poor. We do so by promoting initiatives at a grassroots level or through local churches, including marriage encounter groups and parenting training that address issues of abuse and violence, with the goal of restoring broken families and marriages, resulting in whole families who experience increased family health and well-being. On a community level, we work to build trust and social cohesion between neighbors by identifying potential leaders and gathering people to work together to launch community projects that benefit all. As a result, access to basic services such as water, drainage, and electricity has improved. Other projects address security and safety concerns, engage in environmental upgrading and pest control, or accomplish improvements in the public transport and school system. For example, a little while back, a group of neighbors gathered to bring the municipal water supply to their community. They invited more families, who in turn invited more to join the initiative. Meetings were held with people who didn't previously know each other, and relationships were formed that became the basis for a strong civil society. What seemed impossible became palpable as they tackled problems that arose while pursuing their common dream of improving life for the entire neighborhood. Finally, we facilitate connections between different city and private institutions and build relational bridges between the poor and non-poor in order to heal the divide that keeps the poor trapped in poverty. Urban poverty exists because of unjust systems that don't work for the poor. Consequently, even with the best grassroots bottom-up development elements, there must be work done on a macro level to address citywide concerns, creating systems that work for the poor, specifically in economic, political, and legal realms. In order to create these systems that actually work for the poor, we, as Urban Mosaic, engage in advocacy while seeking to transform existing systems as well as create new ones. To achieve this, we've built broad-based networks, partnered with community groups, NGOs, churches, private investors, social entrepreneurs, donor agencies, and local governments. As we've built these coalitions, we've been able to take on bigger issues by working with government officials to provide clear accounting for spending on public projects. This has pushed municipal governments to do things right, which means money stays in the pockets of our urban poor neighbors instead of going to the coffers of corrupt political operators. But we don't want to just stop there. We want to actually give citizens a voice in the affairs of the city from the beginning, legally. That's why we have introduced legislation that will increase civil rights in our region. Urban poverty often persists because interventions aren't designed to be reproducible or scalable. Therefore, many solutions remain small and temporary. In order to create solutions that will be long-lasting and sustainable, we have found that we need to integrate community members into our transformational projects from the very start. We work hard to measure our impact, document our progress, and systematize our efforts in order to make all of our projects reproducible. Developing key local leaders allows them to carry the vision and continue the work of deepening and multiplying these methods of transformation, resulting in healthy reproduction with urban poor communities becoming fully impacted by holistic change. So far, we've implemented this change model in several slum communities surrounding Mexico City, and we have seen that real change is possible. We're currently expanding to more communities and partnering with other organizations to reproduce our model of change. When you put it all together, our change model forms a colorful mosaic of the transformed lives God designed for all of us. What does this look like? Urban communities where people can live healthy and dignified lives, where children can safely play in the streets, where youth have opportunities to realize their potential, where people have the ability to make a decent living, where hope is renewed and people find healing and mental freedom, where men and women take responsibility to care for their families, where neighbors build trust and pursue change together, and where leaders advance the well-being of all by exercising a leadership marked by integrity and effectiveness. Urban communities where growing numbers of vibrant churches and civic groups work alongside other organizations, businesses, and government agencies to address injustices while they pursue the holistic transformation of their cities, where those seeds of transformation will bear fruit far beyond Mexico City and integrally impact the lives of multitudes of people in years to come. Our current global narrative of urban migration and growing poverty is a fact. The epidemic of swelling urban poor slums is something that demands our attention. While holistic city transformation is a lofty and long-term goal, we believe that together, helped by the Spirit of God, we can face one of the biggest issues of our generation and come alongside others to sustainably change the lives of millions of urban slum dwellers in years to come. Can we invite you to join Urban Mosaic as we continue to ask, what will it take, really take, to see the holistic transformation of slum communities around the world? Join us. Be a part of the Mosaic.